This week's theme is Pokemon that I personally have never drafted. So if you go to the new Emerald Blitz stat tab and you go to players, you can look at each individual players, how many times they've drafted or not drafted every Pokemon, and every single one of these Pokemon, according to the website, I have not drafted. So we have the classic Firewater Grass Core. I went 2 waters here because I wanted to run Feebas. Having Feebas and Corsola, I think, is maybe a bit too much water coverage, a bit too much Flannery counter. I also really wanted to try Ghastly, Murkrow, Cutiefly, and Chimchar, I think, are the Pokemon that I'm most interested in going into this draft. We'll see how that goes very shortly. But interested in using this box and hoping that off of this draft, I'm going to be able to take these Pokemon and draft them more, because a lot of the reason I don't pick these Pokemon is because I'm not familiar with them at all. Today we're going to try something new out. I've got out all the overworld movement and leveling up out, so it's just the fights. We open up with Brawly 1, which is not too hard. So I know that the Karate Chop does 12 damage, and I think that Makuhita will go for Fake Out and won't kill after Berry with Drain Punch, but Drain Punch just kills from 25, which I didn't expect Drain Punch to do over twice as much damage as Karate Chop did. So losing Murkrow Gym 1 is very stupid. But fortunately, if we have Cutiefly as well, honestly, I probably should have just led Cutiefly, or I definitely at the very least should have switched Cutiefly in on Makuhita, but I just didn't do the math correctly. Apparently Makuhita has a lot more attack. So Gym 1 down. Now we're going to jump straight into the middle of Gym 2. I beat the Geodude with Quilladin and the Manectric, I think, with Mudbray, and I forgot to hit record because I'm trying new stuff where I just record every gym instead of the whole thing, because it makes editing for this much easier, but it does mean that there are going to be a few fights where I start them halfway through, and I think E4-1 I just forget to record, but this fight isn't that difficult. I have a ground type, a grass type, and a fire type, all of which do very good into this gym. Also, I kept Mudbray own tempo for this gym. I got the ability patch to get stamina, but I decided to keep own tempo so that I could switch into Supersonic. Now we get Juan Wallace 3, which for a box that has 2 water types typically is good, but when your 2 water types are Feebas and Corsola, it doesn't really do that much. But my idea in this Juan Wallace fight is that I want to take out the Whalmer. The Barboach is not a problem, I just don't want the Whalmer to get Rollout Spam going. So I take it out. I'm putting Eevee in, hoping that we get Dondozo out second instead of Tatsugiri, but it is Tatsugiri, unfortunately, in Eevee, which is unfortunate. So I helping hand the Quilladin, hoping that it will do a ton of damage to Tatsugiri. But looking at how much damage the Helping Hand Needlearm did versus the base Needlearm did, it didn't really boost it that much. I think it's supposed to be 50%. Maybe it's low roll with Helping Hand into high roll without or something, or maybe I'm just don't know the numbers correctly. Unfortunately, we are not able to get the heal off with Corsola, which makes this fight a lot harder. This box is really not great outside of Quilladin into Juan Wallace, and a lot of Quilladin's powers, the fact that we can get Leech Seed off and you can't get Leech Seed off into Barboach or Dondozo. So now it's just a matter of, okay, we need to... I'm gonna KO the Barboach so that we only have to fight one thing, and then my idea is I have to Stun Sword Dondozo and just hope that it gets full paired, because otherwise I'm guaranteed to lose Pokemon here, and I really don't want to. So we put in Ghastly, and I click Hypnosis here, forgetting that Juan Wallace already used full heal, because I'm not really focused on the first 2 Pokemon. I'm really just thinking, how do I want to play the next 2? And how can I get the Dondozo out instead of Tatsugiri? So I waste a turn, And that turn wasted actually ended up killing my Ghastly, which I was shocked that a +0 attack Dondozo just one-shots Ghastly in the first place, but unfortunately me not paying attention ends up killing my Ghastly, so that's a pretty big E4 mon down. So we get to Flannery 4, which is a bit unfortunate because it means our Feebas is still just going to be doing nothing. Fortunately, or rather unfortunately, we don't dodge the Curse Body proc, but High Horsepower does not also get Curse Bodied, fortunately. And now in comes Camerupt for a Sun-boosted Overheat, so we can switch in Corsola. I know that after this it's going to click Earth Power, which I don't think would kill Corsola, but I don't want Corsola to take that much damage for free. And I know that Camerupt's faster. I have 26 speed, it has 33, so I can just switch in Quilladin on guaranteed Earth Power. And then we can put Corsola back in on another Overheat, this time at -4. And now because Sun is wearing off, and it's at -4 special attack, it's just going to go for Sunny Day, so we can just KO with a single Bubble Beam. We could KO with 2 Bubble Beams, but we do burn a potion. Wow, Corsola does no damage, that's crazy. But we get hit with Earth Power. I said in the moment, I was trying to do a head calc of how much damage Earth Power would do, and I said 20, and it was exactly 20. You'll just have to take my word for that. Maybe I'm lying, but that'd kind of be a weird thing to lie about. So, fortunately, we have a move that is not nerfed by Sun. We can just click Ancient Power on this Torkoal, and eventually it will KO. I click Recover just because I want to play a little bit around getting crit overheat. I think if I get crit overheat from this HP, I still just live. And we end up taking out Flan 4. And now it's going to be, we just need to run and find out what Eevee we're going to get. I think I've already done Brawly, so I don't really need Sylveon or Espeon. I could probably really use Jolteon with this box, but when we talk, we get Leafeon, Vaporeon, Umbreon. I don't need Leafeon at all because we have Quilladin. We've already done the, we've already done the most important gym for Grass, which is Juan Wallace. So I end up going Umbreon, and we immediately get Titanize 5, which is very nice for Umbreon, especially because we have Snarl. I also have Marvel Scale Melodic, which is probably not super important on this gym because their only real physical attacker, aside from the Baltoy who gets one shot, is Solrock Rock Slide. So I probably should have healed the burn just to not take as much chip, but that's okay. This fight ends up being nothing too crazy. We're just gonna go for the Lunatone. I'm hoping that it hits itself in Confusion so we don't take more chip. Fortunately, it does. The Sawtooth's at like -3 at this point. -3 special attack, +1 special defense after the Calm Mind. But this fight is going to be very simple. We just Snarl, Water Pulse, and Tate and Liza. It can effectively not do anything versus these two Pokemon at this stage in the game because they don't have Sunny Day Solar Beam for the Milotic, and they don't have Moonblast on the Lunatone until, I believe, Gym 6, maybe Gym 7. But this fight's pretty easy. I taught Melodic Waterfall kind of forgetting that it was burns, so that Waterfall's gonna do nothing. It's kind of just time waste, but that's alright. We unfortunately end up getting a flinch on Umbreon and a flinch on Milotic, so it keeps both of them alive, and Solrock dodges the Snarl, so now we're at a little bit of questionable HP, but fortunately we have enough Pokemon in the box that can live a hit from Xatu Solrock that I'm not really concerned about it, especially when Xatu is at -3 or 4, or whatever it ends up being at this point, so it takes a little bit of time, unfortunately, and I believe we kill the Solrock with Brine, and then, funnily enough, the Mudsdale flinches, but we end up beating Tate and Liza 5. Getting Umbreon right before this gym is very nice, and that's realistically all that we needed Umbreon for. I think there's a world where I should go Vaporeon here so that I can surf on Milotic into Tate and Liza's 6 through 8, and that would be better, but it's fine. Then we go into Viola 6, into Masquerain. This Masquerain is actually a pretty big problem, in my opinion. If you don't have Jolteon or something. But we take it down. Unfortunately, our Corsola gets very low. We know it's going to be Giga Drain. We rented Tropius, not thinking that Tropius would really do anything into whatever gym we got, but mostly so that we could try to cycle for another rental, because the 3 deaths that I have so far kind of hurt. Unfortunately, this Tropius has no flying moves, and it can only click Stomp, and I get crit. So we have to go into Milotic a bit early, but it ends up being fine. We take a bit of chip from Air Cutter. Then Cleavor comes in, and I played a Milotic box earlier where I had Surf in the bottom left, so I accidentally click Water Pulse. Fortunately, I don't get punished. The Cleavor misses Rock Slide. But this Milotic, I think this Milotic was 31 speed IVs, so it outspeeds pretty much everything. This thing was a demon. And I think just generally, Milotic is a very good Pokemon if you can get past the first 4 gyms without it, which in this box you can't because you have Corsola to help bridge you over into late game. But out comes Mudsdale just to try to take care of the last 2 Pokemon. I click Heavy Slam after Rock Slide because I know it'll kill, and I don't want to miss Rock Slide as I did in the Tate and Liza fight, so that ends up being Viola 5 down. And at this point, making pretty good time, or that's Viola 6 down, excuse me, so we're 36 minutes in. Now I have Infernape, I have Close Combat, so my idea is either we get out Zoroark after Infernape to click Psychic, or Slacking to click EQ. Either way, we can switch in Umbreon on Psychic, or we can put Chestnut into Earthquake, both of which have a good matchup into the respective Pokemon they're switching into. Now I go Seeds. It used to be that as soon as you click the Protect move into Slacking that it would switch out. I don't really know how that works anymore. It ends up switching here, but I think later in the same fight it doesn't, which is kind of weird. I know that the Zoroark is going to be clicking Psychic though, so we go into Umbreon, and we're going to be able to slowly take it out with Snarl. I'm minus special attack on this Umbreon, so I expected not to kill, but fortunately I do. We go back into Slacking. I think this is going to click Hammer Arm, or maybe Facade if it clicks Random Move. Ends up going Hammer Arm. And now this is where I'm thinking, okay, it will switch, and it does, fortunately. It goes into X-Bloud. It's going to click Flare Blast, Fire Blast. And I'm thinking Infernape can tank. We can just one-shot with Close Combat. And once again, we're going to get Slacking in. And we will switch to Chestnut again. And here I'm thinking, okay, it's probably going to switch again, right? Because it knows that I have a Protect move. So I just go Seed Bomb instead of Leaf Seed, but it doesn't switch. I think it only... I don't know what makes the AI switch at this point. And I'm thinking again, I think it's going to heal and I should Seeds, but I don't actually know if it's going to heal or switch or what. So I end up getting late Seeds in, which is nice for the heal, and I'm just like, I think at this point, because I have Seeds down, that it's going to switch, because I'm thinking maybe Seeds plus Protect, it always switches, but it doesn't, so I tank a Facade, and I'm thinking that Obstagoon doesn't see kill with Facade, so I should know it's going to go Obstruct, but my thought process is just, I don't want to... I think it's going to go Attacking move. I want to get some chip damage on it. Unfortunately, it doesn't. But we do have Melodic, who can just go in with Marvel Scale, can tank a bunch. Unfortunately, the Burn chip does end up doing a fair amount, because Obstagoon's really tanky. But this Obstagoon shouldn't really be that much of an issue. We can just put Mudsdale into it, and it really won't do that much damage. I'm clicking Rock Slide because I think it's going to go Obstruct here, because it should see that it dies. But it doesn't, it just goes for Night Slash. I get to red HP with Crit. And I think Rock Slide's probably still the correct play there, because if I hit an obstruct. Okay, so now the issue with the way that this is recorded is I can't really spend a lot of time talking about stuff. So we switch into Chestnut getting killed by Pelipper. This Pelipper's at -2 special attack, and for some reason I think that it won't kill the Chestnut. I don't ask why I didn't just put Corsola in. I think the Corsola is way weaker than it really is. So we kind of just killed our grass type right before E4 into the flying gym, but this is kind of the issue that I run into when I do not know the Pokemon that I'm using, because the purpose of this box is that I'm using Pokemon that I effectively never do. These are Pokemon that I have not drafted on the new website at all. But the rest of this fight ends up being not too crazy. Fortunately, Mudsdale does not get crit by the Altaria. Braviary comes in, and I know I can just go Umbreon and click Snarl a few times. So going into E4, we're going to be... I forget if I'm 5 or 6 Pokemon going into E4. I'll take this time to... I forgot to record, I think, the entirety of E1, and I want to say one of my Pokemon got KO'd. In that fight, we'll see what it looks like in E2, or if I start recording in the middle of E1. But we get through all the gym phase, 52 minutes, and yeah, so we don't get E1, unfortunately, because growing pains. Apologies for all the weekly box enjoyers, but I open Infernape thinking I'm going to bait out Crobat second, and after that I can go into either Mudsdale or Corsola. I end up going Mudsdale, and there's actually a very funny interaction with Mudsdale and Crobat where every time you get hit by something you proc Stamina, and Crobat just always hazes stat buffs like that. For some reason it doesn't haze Moxie sometime. I don't understand haze AI. But my original idea is that I would get a Stamina proc, and then she would put in the Overquill, and I'd just be able to live a waterfall or two easily, but it doesn't end up happening. So I go Umbreon on switch, just so I can hit a Charm. I end up... I forget that this Pokemon has Pin Missile, because who cares about Pin Missile? And then I end up getting Chunk to Red, so I think I should have cared about Pin Missile. And now I'm thinking, okay, what do I switch into this? I could go Infernape and look for EQ and hope that I don't die to Waterfall, but I know Infernape is made of paper. I end up going Melodic because after the Charm it's probably going to click Sludge Bomb, and I don't want to get burned by something. My Melodic, or get poisoned, my Melodic's already burned. So I set up Rain so that Surf guaranteed KOs. There are no Rain moves that Lucy has in the back. And fortunately, the buff from Rain Dance actually means that we end up two-shotting the Swalot, and then in comes the Dustox last. And unfortunately, I taught over Flare Blitz for Earthquake for this fight, because I'm thinking, honestly, maybe I should have taught over Acro, because the only other mon that I would need acrobatics for would be Roserade, and I can kill Roserade plenty of other ways. I mean, even with Flare Blitz or Flamethrower from Infernape, I think it kills it. But I think I can switch in, I can tank the Sleep Powder, and then 2 Acros will kill, 1 Acro without Berry will kill. So that's Lucy down, and now we get into Tucker, and unfortunately this box really has nothing for Tucker. I have an Infernape that's weak to it, I have an Umbreon that's weak to it. My only super effective move that I have is Mudsdale, non-stab, Heavy Slam. And at this point I'm thinking this is very difficult. I put Lum on just because I feel you pretty much always should. I click Heavy Slam, it misses Sing, and we crit one shot, which is very nice. Now in comes Togekiss, and I'm contemplating if I should switch out into something, but I don't think I can. We click Heavy Slam and almost one shot. It's so close, unfortunately, just barely don't. And that means that we're going to have to tank another 60 damage, and we don't have Citrus because we Lum for the Wigglytuff. Now, Guardy comes in. I know I'm going to die to a Psychic, so I have to go Umbreon. And I'm just thinking I need to make this as weak as possible so that I can switch in, say, I don't think I'd switch in Infernape here, but so that I can put in Melodic and just tank a bunch of Psychics and click Rain Dance and click Surf afterwards. Um, and that's what I end up doing, but after this, there's still a Mawile in the back, there's still a Rapidash in the back, and my Melodic's going to be tanking a lot of chip here. I go for Attract in the hopes that Gardevoir gets immobilized a lot. We get one Immobilize. My idea here is that I want to click Surf before Rain Dance in the hopes that I can Rain Dance into Surf so that Tucker doesn't heal Gardevoir. We get, I think, 3 Immobilizes in a row, which is very nice, and we don't get the Psychic Special Defense drop. And now I'm thinking this could just barely be the point where Rain Dance plus Surf KOs, so I Rain Dance, I Surf, Gardevoir lives on 10 HP, unfortunately, and we get crit, and we get Special Defense dropped. So in the rain, I know I want to get one more Surf off. I know she's going to heal, or I know the Tucker's going to heal. And now it's like, okay, I don't really know. There's really not much I can do at this point. I go Corsola just to tank a few Psychics. I get immediate Special Defense dropped. Another Psychic does 69. We get another Special Defense drop. So now we're up to 80 HP. We get the Ancient Power boost, but we're still at -1 Special Defense. I'm just thinking I'm going to try to do as much damage as I can. We live on 4 HP, which is way less than I expected it to be, but Special Defense drops are brutal. And I realize, okay, I've just got a sack. This can be Corsola or Galarian Corsola afterwards, so it's fine. And Infernape's kind of our only hope here. I don't have Fire Stab, unfortunately, so it's going to be a bit difficult. Rapidash comes in, and we're able to immune the Psycho Cut, but I'm so accustomed to all of Tucker's Mons being special attackers that I just forget that this is a physical attacker. Which is stupid because I just saw click Psycho Cut, but I think it's... I think every Psychic move is a special attack move, so now here I'm kind of realizing that, oh wait, it's all physical attacks. I live on 1 HP. I don't ask why I clicked Bulk Up. I think at this point I'm just tilted and I know I'm gonna lose. And I think at this point I know the fight's over, so I just stop recording because I'm a bit tilted. The tier list for this week is not really super surprising to me. I think so. I put Ghastly and Murkrow here in C. I did not get to use these Pokemon at all in the first run through, so take this with a grain of salt. Honestly, for this, it's mostly just I have no clue. I didn't get that much out of them. Murkrow dying to what it died to shocked me. Ghastly dying to what it died to kind of surprised me, but I think I was minus defense as well. So these two, I'm really not even going to pay that much attention to. I'll just leave them there for now, and hopefully I'll be able to play this box again sometime later in the week. But starting at the top, so Feebas, I very much like this Pokemon. I'm surprised I've never drafted it before. I think it's just because I value early game so much, and Feebas is not a Pokemon for the first 4 gyms, so that's probably why I've never bid that much for it. But my Melodic was a demon. This thing was in versus pretty much every gym doing stuff. After it got Melodic, Marvel Scale, very nice ability, because not only does it double your defense, it also means you can't get slept or poisoned or anything like that, so you have a lot more control than you otherwise would, and being a Surf Ice Beam Clicker is always useful. I think that I could see Mudbray be above Feebas, especially if you're a Steven picker, because I know Steven players really like Mudbray and ground type in general. I'm not the biggest ground type fan, but I think Mudbray's a good... Mudbray. I can't say Mudbray for some reason. I think Mudbray is a good Pokemon. I enjoyed using it. I think it getting access to Heavy Slam is nice. Getting, I think, relatively early high horsepower is nice. Very early Bulldoze, always great. And then you can teach it Rock Slide for a bit of coverage as well. But I think very good, very consistent Pokemon that I really didn't use to its full potential. So I could honestly see a world where it slots in here, but for me, I think for the run that I did, this is about where it would go. Then Quilladin, Chespin, Chestnut. I think this Pokemon's decent. It's a grass type. It's decently bulky. You have early seeds. You have decent stab with Needle Arm. You have Spiky Shield, which is also very good at util. It's kind of just much bulkier fighting type Cacturn. Um, and to be fair, Cacturn's not a great Pokemon in my opinion, but I think this has its niche. I think it's honestly decent, which is why I have it in A. Personally, it's pretty low in my tier of grass types. I don't think it touches Breloom. I don't think it touches Bulbasaur, obviously, Roserade, Cottony, all these things. I think this Pokemon's good. Execute, it doesn't really touch either, but it's decent. And I think especially in small lobbies, this is a good Pokemon to bid on, in my opinion. It feels consistent to me. And speaking of consistency, we have Corsola. Honestly, this I could probably put here as well. I think early game you're very consistent. You have a free sack in the E4 if you want, where you can still have a ghost type going into Gallade, so you have an immunity for it. And just generally, I think this Pokemon's a lot more powerful than I give it credit for. Having access to Recover, having access to Ancient Power, Bubble Beam, early game, all this type of stuff, it makes this Pokemon very good in my opinion. And that's why I have it above Chimchar, who I actually enjoy using this run. And I don't know if that's just because I most recently played the E4, and this Pokemon was pretty good in the E4 in my opinion. I know that a lot of people really don't like using Chimchar, and I can see why, because you die to everything, but at least for me, if I assumed died to everything that wasn't resisted, it was fine to use. But having, what is it, level 36 Evo, I think, really hurts this. Effectively not having access to good fighting moves outside of Brick Break until you Evo, going into Gym 7, also not nice. I think firefighting is not a good typing for Gym Phase, and for me, fighting type and fire type are not super valuable because I don't pick Steven. But I liked using the Pokemon, I thought it was fine. But if I got more use out of Cutiefly, I'd probably have it back here, but again, Cutiefly kind of suffers from the same thing as Ghastly and Murkrow do, where I just really didn't get to use it. It died to Juan Wallace kind of as a force sack. So Cutiefly I can't really draw too much information from. I know it's good. It was able to get me out of Brawly. You have Draining Kiss, you get Quiver Dance later, so I think Cutiefly honestly would probably be in A. Maybe there's a world it can sneak in S, but I think probably just in A, but I wasn't able to use it that much. This is just the ranking that I have for this run. But all in all, this box did not really surprise me. But I think it's important to play boxes like this with Pokemon that you don't normally use, because if I get into a 6-person EGP and Chespin is the only grass type that comes up, or it's Pokemon 38 out of 40, and I just have to take it, then it's good to be able to use a Pokemon that you don't normally do. So I think in the future I'm going to try to do a few more boxes that are like this, not necessarily for me, but like go through other weekly box players, like Man Thief, Cheat, Dan, all those people who, and look who doesn't pick what Pokemon and try to get some of those in later. So look for that in future weekly boxes, and I hope that everybody else has better E4s than I did. But thanks for watching. Peace.